air raid sirens are going off.
Sounds great.
Okay, there's people are looting. There's like a warning thing on the radio.
Yeah.
Your computer screen has just gone red and it's flashing red and it just says warning.
I just restart.
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah, get rid of this.
It's still, you can't even Control Alt Delete. It does that Windows where it just
I'll
goes,
do it on main. Yeah.
You know, the really bad,
Yeah.
it is wrong. Your motherboard is just melted.
Right.
Yeah.
Restart.
So like you don't know, all communications are down, comms are down.
Can I text?
You can
How's WhatsApp?
send up a flare.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's probably an app that does that, but I mean actually physically send up a flare and or firework. Or use a carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
The landlines are down.
Could I write a message on a bit of card and sort of throw it out the window?
Yeah. You can record something on a dictaphone tape, magnetic tape, and then hide that behind a brick.
Yeah.
You can do all that, all the analog.
I could sort of etch a message onto a wall with some paint.
You can etch a sketch and pass that to someone.
It's very easy for them just to erase an etch a sketch.
You can shout.
Yeah, shout is pretty good. It's probably more ephemeral than the etch a sketch, though.
Well, there is an air raid siren going on.
Yes, they don't shout.
Lots of screams.
Yeah.
So it's happening dusk.
Okay.
Not night, dusk.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know. There's a possibility that a highly effective vanguardist radical left party has seized power or is attempting to seize power by creating chaos, blowing up the telephone lines and the power cables. Or
hard for me to determine that that's
you don't know. Or a right-wing coup.
Yeah, sure. It could just be the Purge.
Or it could just be the Purge. You don't know.
I think my first guess would be, it's just the Purge. That seems more likely to me than an organised coup.
A momentum coup. Seamus Milk.
I also think if there was a coup, I don't think it would affect Sheffield. I don't think Sheffield would go on high alert. I just don't think I don't think anything would change.
It's not. I'm assuming it's national, but you've got no way to know it's national.
Oh, so what? They've gone into every town council,
and
taken it.
Seized
so
the
it's organised to the point that like
you don't know who has the apparatus.
Even in Ludlow, they've gone into
Ludlow
a local.
Has gone.
Right.
Buxton has fallen.
Yeah.
Newcastle upon Lyme.
Wow.
Is in someone's hands. But you don't. My point is,
breaker. We've lost Ashby de la Zouche.
Formby gone.
Wow.
Every train station that the trains just stopped at for 30 minutes, and you don't know why. Okay, and maybe in addition, but air raid siren's gone. All comms are down. Comms are down.
I can't get on WhatsApp. The comms are down.
Lecky's down, actually.
Lecky, there we are.
Lecky are not initially down.
Meat as fucked.
Yeah, you don't know the water. You've got no idea. So you might want to do the fill the bath.
Yeah.
Someone's tripped the water fuse.
Yeah. Got to go down to the reservoir, flip it back on.
Right. Well, is that your move? What are your moves?
All right. So you're asking.
You don't know. It could be the revolution, but you don't know.
So what's dusk is like 9ish now, right? Dusk is sun is sort of almost set.
We're generating evergreen content. Dusk.
We can all relate
time
to
irrelevant. Dusk is a natural.
Oh, when you're saying evergreen content, you've made it dusk the nocturnal and
I don't want to give a specific.
Can relate.
Absolutely.
To this story.
I want someone to listen to this in June to be able to appreciate it at the same level as November.
So I'm not saying what time of day. We're just saying dusk.
Dusk.
If I limit it now to summer
time,
when we're recording.
If you say like 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time,
yeah,
that is alienated.
most
People
of
just
the world.
shut it off.
Yeah,
bang. They
GMT,
throw the phone off the bus.
Lecky, what are you on about?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they shut their comms down.
They'd probably start causing the conditions that I'm responding to in this hypothetical story.
Domino effect. Yeah.
All right. So I've got up. I'm looking out. There's people running around. Maybe there's people like sort of disguising their appearance. I'm not going to say black bloc because that implies a certain group. I don't know. Could be a mixture of black bloc, a mixture of anonymous masks. Anonymous masks kind of span the whole political spectrum.
I found a great poodle mask when I was moving house the other day.
Yeah.
And it was when I bought Detective Inspector Horsehead in 2015 or whenever it was, I also bought a poodle mask because initially I was like, each hand is an animal. One hand is a horse's head, and the other hand, this is a character I created a while ago called Detective Inspector Horsehand, who is a failed Scottish super soldier program like Captain America, but the money ran out and he's just got a horse's head for a hand. But in my head, he also would have had a poodle hand. But the poodle's mouth is completely one piece of rubber, whereas the horse's, so you can't make it open and close.
Can't articulate.
Yeah, whereas a key aspect of the bit is that the horse is sentient and can control, like Liquid Snake's arm in Metal Gear. He can talk, but the poodle locked down. But really creepy. Much creepier than the horse, because it's got like plastic, really good, realistic looking, like big eyes, like plastic dark eyes, but they have like an
marbles,
iris. Like marbles. Yeah, not plastic, like whatever glass. Yeah, that. Really horrible.
Took you ages to identify glass.
Really horrible marble-eyed poodle. And I think if it kicked off and I saw that I'd be gone.
Oh, you'd say one poodle, and by gone, what do you mean? Lost, like
I would be.
From reality?
I mean, two things. I mean, I would, in my mind, sink into a abyss of anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't be. I'd lose all executive
like
function.
in The Ring, where like the girl comes out of the TV and they're not dead, but they're like unresponsive. Like they're not a person anymore.
Yeah,
that's you.
That I'm gone.
Yeah,
and also I would be gone in the same way. Like I would want to haul ass, but I'd be unable to haul ass because of Gone version 1. But if I saw
the
Poodle
idea
Head,
that there are things in this life that make you be gone, which is like a sci-fi catatonic like state, but that you can like imagine them and picture them, and you're not gone, but you know exactly what it was. You know exactly what your line is, and it's not like, oh, I'd take some psychic damage from it. I'd be just gone. A necessary switch is flipped, and I'm reduced to flesh.
Yeah. I'm just gone, stood there.
I think I could have someone with a poodle mask look at me through the window, and I would retain my sentience. I'd remain a conscious person.
I believe I am weaker than you for poodle mask, so I think I would be gone. But I would want to ask them. I would want to be like, mate, are you with this poodle? Is this good or bad? Are you? What are we doing?
Would you have been wearing this anyway? Is this part of what's going on, or is this just? Is this incidental?
Who's in control of Formby Council? Do you know goodies or baddies?
How does the poodle fit in? So would it affect you if you learned that the poodle was just happened to be your neighbour and is nothing to do with events?
Oh, it's just Jeff.
Someone you know.
I would probably know from body shape. I do an ocular scan. That's Jeff.
You can recognise a friend who's in a hoodie wearing a poodle mask.
But hoodie?
At body shape.
A hoodie, no.
Right.
If it's very baggy clothing, no.
Okay.
I think
if they're wearing like a morph suit and a poodle mask, you'd be like, that's James.
I think if neighbour Jeff is like in his garden and he's in Jeff's garden and he's got a body shape of Jeff, I might not in that scenario be gone. I might go, Jeff?
Yeah. You try that. And then they go, I'm not Jeff. And then you're gone.
Yeah. Then I'm gone. Yeah.
I'm gone. Yeah. Jeff? No. God, dead. Borderline dead.
I think I'm going to be really specific. I think if the poodle, even if it wasn't Jeff, if they went no, I wouldn't be gone. But if the poodle slowly shook its head, its snout left to left,
yeah,
then I would
gone
be
territory.
Gone.
Yeah.
But what's your game?
What if, without even responding to the question, it just slowly curved its trajectory just to head straight towards your window? Like, not even stopped and rotated and then started walking again. Just curved as gently as it could to head directly towards you.
But, so body curved as gently as it could, but head maintaining lock on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm gone at that. Oh, I don't know.
Or actually, the moment you say Jeff, its head fixes straight towards yours, with a preternatural speed and accuracy.
Okay, then I'm gone.
Like, you can't even see like the intervening movements between where it was looking and where it's now looking. It's as though it has always been looking at you, but you remember that it was looking somewhere else before you spoke.
Like a whip pan in a Sam Raimi movie. It's just... Yeah, then I would be gone.
That's gone. I'd be gone at that.
So you admit you would be gone at that?
But I feel like we're now describing how scary a poodle-masked person would have to be before I take leave of my senses.
Off-piste.
Yeah.
So our initial premise is social collapse has happened.
Yeah.
Could be the revolution. Could be a right-wing coup. Could just be...
The Purge.
The Purge.
Could be aliens.
Could be aliens. You don't... My point is you
I don't know.
What are your actions?
I guess the first big question is, do I go outside? If there's no comms...
Comms are down.
I'm now using your language. Someone starts saying comms enough and you start feeling brave enough to use it yourself.
Loads of people.
Comms.
The people who didn't throw their phone off the bus because of GMT thing, now they've lost it because we're nerds. Yeah.
The only people that are still listening are wearing bomber jackets. And not our target audience.
And dead comfy woolly black hats.
Yeah. They've got one earphone in and they're at the back of the bus. Comms are down, so do I go outside to find out more? If I just stay inside, I'll never know what's going on. But I'm arguably better defended than if I'm just in the street during stuff happening. The fact that a lot of people are moving somewhere, I presume it's not just like I look out the street and it's just chaos. There's people
it's just started.
moving in a direction. Or
it's just started.
But can I see any intent of the people outside? Are they going somewhere? Is it people? Are they rioting? Are they looting? What's happening?
Difficult to predict. We're right at the start, so there's not like any cars exploded or screams or anything like that. It's just air raid siren, Lecky's gone, comms are down.
So I'm looking outside and I'm just seeing people sort of milling around, not knowing what's going on. I'd probably go out and try and find some information, because just being sat at home now, there's nothing here to do. I don't have light to read by. I would go out. Just by a mixture of curiosity and boredom. I mean, I always knew those attributes would be why I die.
See, this is the problem with the left.
Yeah? Wow, I didn't realise that's where that was going.
We don't... We're not ready for the crisis. Hang
on, hang on. I'm looking out the window and I'm just seeing what could just be like a power outage. And I should be there going, now's the time to regain. Now I need to become a vanguardist.
No, it's power outage. It's comms are down, and it's air raid siren. It is a social collapse is happening.
Yeah, I guess there is some form of social collapse.
My
initial thing is something's gone wrong, but it'll probably be temporary.
Okay, wait, no, I'll give you... You need more exposition, I think, to inform your actions. I can see where you're coming from. So you've got the radio on for some reason, and you hear, like...
Wireless.
Formby has fallen. Newcastle upon Lyme. Radicals armed to the teeth.
You know, something like that. And then it cuts out.
Teeth.
Yeah.
Armed to the teeth isn't what they'd say on.
Armed,
heavily armed.
Tooled up.
Tooled up, yeah. Hench.
Yeah, that's what they'd say on...
Hench radicals.
You're listening to Radio 5 Live.
The people have taken Formby and they're tooled up.
But also I don't know if they're like goodies or baddies or what's going on or what this group is.
You know, someone is seizing control. You know, Formby has fallen and multiple other places. Ooh, choppers as well. Just choppers, all heading in the same direction.
Yeah, city centre.
Yeah, choppers to the city centre.
Yeah. Well, the bus is still going.
Buses are still going.
Yeah, I'd grab a bus to
the bus is... Can
I still use contactless?
Oh, that's working internally, maybe on the bus. Is that wirelessly connected to something?
I think they've got mobile connections, right? They must be connected to like wireless internet.
Yeah, okay. If comms are down.
Yeah.
So what happens is the individual bus drivers...
So I need change.
Yeah, they need change. Or the bus drivers could be like...
Oh, listen, mate. Come
mate.
on, yeah. If Ludlow's fall and then could be any of us next.
Yeah.
Least I could do is give you a free ride to the centre.
Yeah, I'm going to drive it towards... I need to go back to centre to get my coat.
Yeah.
So I'm going there, but I'm not doing...
Yeah, when I get Terminus, I might pack it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where I'm heading anyway, so
yeah,
hop on,
lad. So you're on the bus. Why would you head to the city centre? Are you going to try and seize power? Now this is taking a turn.
Well, if
You're
I
going to enter the vacuum.
All right, so I've got my two choices. I stay in my borough. Nothing to
I like
do
the
there.
use of borough.
Yeah. Do you not have boroughs in Manchester?
Yeah.
I stay in my borough.
But borough's like bigger than ward. So what? There's like
No, a ward is a strictly political manifestation of geographical boundaries.
Oh, but a borough is not.
A borough is everywhere that surrounds the nearest shopping high street.
So you're not even.
Boroughs have their own clear. Wards are invented and they just get reassigned about how many people live here and there. Whereas
boroughs are innate.
Boroughs have community centres and well, they don't have community centres. They just have shopping streets. They have a main street where you can get most of your bits. And if you go so far out of that borough that there's another main street that's easy to get to on foot, we're sorry, you've changed boroughs.
Okay. I am really not sure that that's how borough is defined, but I completely agree with your definition.
Yeah, I also don't think that anyone else would agree with me, and I also possibly don't think it's true, but that's how they should work. And that's how the boroughs I've lived in have worked. I live here, and I know I live in this borough because if I want to go out shopping, I'm probably going to go to that street.
Right. So are you going
in
to
my head? That's where I would know what borough I'm in.
Are you going to organise the borough, or do you expect someone else to try and organise the borough?
Well, no, because you're saying, why would you go to the city centre? I'm about
Okay.
My three options are: I stay in the borough I'm in. Well, firstly,
but we're definitely leaving the house. We've accepted that.
Yeah, what am I going to do at home?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Have a go at Kendama. Can't even see. I can stay in my borough, but there's nothing on, right?
Yeah.
All the cafes are like fucked. Everywhere's dark. There's no lights. Maybe it'll be light somewhere else. I've got two choices somewhere else, really. Further away from the centre, nearer to the centre, or I guess I could go to an adjacent borough.
You could go to the fucking woods, mate. You could go on to up to the peaks.
Further away from the city centre, to me, it's just the woods.
Yeah.
And from where I live, actually, it's just the woods. I'm not going to go to the woods. I think the first thing that people are going to start doing is trying to create another society in the woods, and I don't want that. I want the big society. I want the main. I don't want to create a little cabin society in the woods. I want to go for the big one. If I can't get that, then I'll accept cabin society. So I'll go into the city centre and find out what's going on. Because if they're taking over political power, it's not like a mad thing where they're going to be like hurting people they are, but not me. I'm clearly, you can see from a distance, not important. Like, I don't look like I'm worth taking out as part of a vanguardist coup.
And that's their mistake, mate.
I have no idea what you mean by that.
And I'm just being optimistic. I in my head, Morley can seize power.
I mean, it's just me on my own, wandering around, and I'm like, well, hadn't intended on it. Like, it is just, I've left the house. I don't
you could
know
rally
what's
the
going on.
people of the bus using your MCing techniques.
I've struggled while MCing just to get the audience to like sit at the front. So how am I gonna?
Yeah, so it's not like you got a great. Let's just give you let's throw you a bone, right? It's a great audience on the bus. It's not Saturday at the Fringe. It's like your
it's
people.
Day one of the coup.
Yeah,
we're heading into the city centre.
Yeah.
We're all curious.
Yeah. They're up for
Some
it.
of us are thirsty for power. But none of us own a car.
So you're on the cans.
Yeah.
Bus cans.
Tinny's on the bus.
Yeah.
Driver lets it because it's extenuating circumstances.
Give him a can. He can have one.
Come on. It's not the fall of Rome. We still have laws and decency. Hopefully whoever takes over the country is still not going to let bus drivers drink on duty. And if they are, I guess that is going to put me right up against them. Imagine that's the first thing I find out they're changing. Well, that's the only thing they're changing. They're all bus drivers.
That causes the splitters.
Yeah. They're a mixture of bus drivers and fathers for justice, but mainly they are. Each individual is both. There's only a few that's like one or the other.
Fathers for justice have seized power. I just want to see
and
them
they're all
twice
dressed
a
as
week.
superheroes. One of them's dressed as a poodle. What superhero is this? Oh, I'm just a dog. I just miss my daughter.
Yeah, you approach town and atop a huge barricade that's been erected. We're talking like 20 foot of steel, right? There's just, people in kind of military garb. Like one of them's got a cape. One of them's got a sort of scepter.
Yeah. One of them is like distinctly Banana Man.
Yeah. And then one you just look up and it's poodles. appears to have the body shape of your neighbour.
Is that you? No. Silent shaking of the head. You feel your consciousness leaving.
Yeah, you're gone. Gone on the bus.
It's like a text adventure. You've died. Try again. You see the poodle again. You are gone. What were you trying to illustrate with this story? That we all have to be ready to seize power in someone else's coup. Like, imagine you started a coup and it was so detailed that you took over minor towns in the UK, and then some guy who wasn't aware this was going on got the bus into town and then became the leader of a different coup.
No.
With the people who drove into town on the bus.
What?
And you all had tinnies.
What?
Must be
no
horrible of you as a coup that someone takes it away from you under those circumstances.
What I am getting at, so there's a big wave, I reckon, of everyone talking about a zombie apocalypse plan.
Oh, loads of people will be assuming it's something from young adult fiction.
Okay, yeah, there's a big wave to the point that, like, you know, Uncle Paul's got opinions. He's like, oh, what? Actually,
it's El Chupacabra.
My one of my uncles, it was either my Uncle John or my Uncle Ian, came up with the idea of he would just put loads of layers of clothes on, because it was his belief that if you put many, many layers of clothes on, the zombies would not be able to bite you. Like, what you would lose in mobility, you would gain in effective invincibility. Because if you're wearing 7 t-shirts, 3 shirts, and a puffer jacket.
And has he got 10 balaclavas on? Like, that's the bit they want, isn't it?
Well, yeah, probably. I think he said he'd put his motorbike helmet on his, proper uncle. Put like a bike helmet on his head. Like, everyone. My point is that everyone's got a zombie apocalypse plan. That was a period. That was like before it really felt like society was collapsing.
Yeah.
And now with environmental catastrophe and the global rise of fascism, as opposed to the sort of neoliberal consensus that precipitated those two things.
Yeah.
Then, you know, classic, 2011, you could have a zombie apocalypse plan, and it was a hypothetical. Now I think the social collapse scenario, sans zombie, without the undead ingredient.
I mean, if anything,
I think is a
zombies
possible.
Aren't as much of a threat as just other people trying to survive under limited resources.
Oh, totally. So, well, and I was wanted to think about the thing of how a common criticism of the left is that we are, because we don't have hegemony, and it's very difficult for the left to get hegemony because of who controls not who controls, but the systems of the media and things like that, and how that's dominated by capitalist ideology. Right, it's very difficult for us to dominate a crisis.
Yeah.
So, the banking crisis, which should have been like a real nail in the coffin of global capitalism. Capitalism was the most ready thing to go like, actually, we need to solve this by cutting the fuck out of welfare, and they were ready with an explanation, whereas we couldn't. So I was wondering if you, even on a small level.
A small level? You just said the whole country's fallen.
Yeah, the whole country's fallen, but I'm just thinking, what would you do? I don't know what I would do. I'm not saying I've got the answers, but I'm saying it's what we need to
I
think.
Bet a lot
we
of
need
takeaways
to
would have to be kicking out a lot of food, so I'd probably be looking around for some scram.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't keep it hot, right? So they can't sell it.
Yeah, it's going. I think you've got 20 minutes
You'll
to
get scraps.
Cheap scram. What would you get?
Some chips.
Yeah.
Sometimes they chuck out a bit of the batter as well.
Ooh.
So they put some of the batter in the chips.
So that's the bit of scran.
And then I'll try and take over the town hall, or what am I supposed to do?
I don't know what I don't know what you do.
What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about this. I just came up with the question.
Yeah. Because I've made my peace with the fact that if anything like this happens, I'm probably going to die.
I think
even if it's a peaceful coup, I'll find a way to die.
I'm dead soon. I'm either dead from my own incompetence and starvation, or getting lost, or like getting gone because I've seen a poodle.
Yeah.
I'm
more of an ideas man.
Yeah, but we haven't got any ideas. Neither of us.
I could do graphic design for the coup. Has a coup ever had like a successful social media account? Because I could be that. Put up a meme.
I think the next coup it's going to have to have.
It'll be like Drake next to like the current government.
Yeah,
don't
like
it. Oh, I'm not into that.
It.
But then
pointing
it says the coup. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when that hotline bling.
I really like the idea of a castle.
Okay.
And this is more my North Wales. This is more my North Wales brain coming, because there's a lot of castles. The English, when they conquered the Welsh, they built castles like every few miles across the coast to control both the Welsh and any potential foreign invader who may collaborate with the Welsh in the 13th century. A lot of my zombie apocalypse or crisis thinking is very North Wales orientated. There's a lot of good castles.
Go in a castle.
You go Rhuddlan, it's a good one. It's got a river out to the sea, so you've got a trade route. It's got fields about it.
Oh, okay. So your zombie apocalypse also has like a mercantile future involved.
Yeah, I believe
the narrow boats arrive with necessary goods.
Listen, I don't believe that I'm going to take over this castle and be like King Jack. I think there'll be other people.
You'd be social media manager of the castle.
I can go up to the castle and be like, all right, I can get you some RTs to build this mercantile system up. I go help them out. Castle, I think. Head to one of the castles. Or then I could just end up being eaten as flesh.
I don't think Sheffield's got so many castles. We've got... I can't think of any like major fortified areas. I think our major fortified area is going to be like block of flats or something like that.
Isn't there a Tesco in Sheffield that used to be a barracks or something?
There's a Morrison's, yeah. The Morrison's used to be an army barracks. But given that there are automatic doors, like 3 of them, I don't know who that's going to stop.
Lecky's gone, mate. They're off.
How do I get in then? If I'm not smashing my way through automatic doors, which then lets other people in.
Fire exit.
Genius.
Knock on the fire exit.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello? Heard about the coup? I don't think you can win through, unless you're positioned quite high up or you've got like a mad good gun, which I guess actually is a way of being positioned quite high up. Having a mad good gun puts you up in like, yeah. I actually think...
Well, the Hammer of Dawn from God of War.
No, I'm not thinking of like having a bloody handheld nuke.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually very useful.
The Hammer of Dawn is actually a railgun, like a laser from space, and you designate a landing point for it.
Yeah.
So you could, if you had the Hammer of Dawn and you were approaching the huge gate in the city centre with Poodle Man and Banana Man on top of it, you could target, if you weren't got by the Poodle, you could Hammer of Dawn there. Just set maybe on your phone. Comms are down.
But even
comms are down.
Even if
no Hammer of Dawn if comms are down.
Well, you're not really getting a Hammer of Dawn even if comms are up. But even if you get rid of everyone who's in power, that doesn't mean that you can be like, all right, lads, is it okay if I'm in power now? And they go, oh, yeah, okay. Because I think odds are good. They'll be like, who are you? I don't want this. Can we do something else, please? Why do I get to be the head of things now?
Well, yeah, I'm not saying you
just because I Hammer of Dawn people. Because the only way I'm using the Hammer... After everyone's gone, the only way I'm using Hammer of Dawn to get into power is be like, can I be in power? In brackets, this is implicit. I have the power to Hammer of Dawn people who don't want me to be in power.
I think you need both.
I don't want to be that.
I think we have to
You need
accept.
both. Okay, so you need...
I think you need charisma.
you know,
your banter on the bus,
yeah,
like your social media skills. That's not going to get you in power. You're not going. I might give you a bit of legitimacy. But ultimately, state making is about having the monopoly on violence.
You're not going to get in with a blue tick. You need an orbital missile.
Yeah, or an orbital railgun.
You're a real stickler for me describing the Hammer of Dawn and everything else. I'm trying to move it away from a video game reference, and you'll be like, no, it's a railgun.
The state is the monopoly on violence. So the state has a monopoly on the legitimate use of force, violence. So you can't just have the popularity. You need to either seize the existing thing or create a new thing. Mm-hmm. Hammer of Dawn, water pistol full of acid, just normal gun, a rock that you can throw real good, in a sling.
Wow, you've accepted far more crude weaponry than
taking both your boots off, holding the laces and spinning them with both your hands.
Getting your fist stung by 5 wasps so it swells up real big.
Yeah, big. So in one hand, you've got your boot that you're spinning, and that's like a long distance weapon. You could perhaps fling that, and that's your flying, that's your ranged kick. Yeah. And then your other hand is your wasp. But the wasp sting is so big and horrible that actually your fist has become a wasp's nest. And it's full of just horrible like hornets. Yeah. So with each punch,
just
and then the hornets infest your your enemy, and then once they're horneted, they're mind controlled, and then they're your hornet minions.
Right.
And
is that
then
your
that's
plan, just to clarify?
If that happened, if I noticed that I had a hornet claw,
If I noticed.
and I was in, I wouldn't go to like innocent people and like hornet club them with my like big wasp's nest hand.
Well, not apropos of nothing.
No, but if a class enemy, if a landlord started trying to fight me, landlord was like, this site's cost me, you better be paying my rent, Jack. Where's my bloody rent? Then I might like hornet him and then make him a drone.
Do you feel a lot better advocating beating up landlords when it's a kind of fantasy violence hornet fist?
Yeah, when it's
Because you wouldn't just say, I'd lamp a landlord.
not
Just for wanting rent.
for legal reasons.
Yeah.
As well as others, I wouldn't say that on the podcast, but I
But it's
would.
a helpful tool to have this fantastical hornet hand.
Would you not? Would you not? If a landlord was strangling you, if a landlord had attacked first.
Yeah, but you're making this thing where it's that or I die. Whereas previously it was just you hitting landowners.
Well, no, what I
with a-
said
with a-
specifically, I wouldn't do it apropos nothing. I said,
Yeah,
if I
you're
piss
right.
out first.
Safe, safe. What is political violence? Well, that's throwing a yazoo at a fascist. And what isn't political violence? That would be charging a protester on horseback and then knocking them unconscious with a truncheon. It's strange, that one.
Oh, it's strange. Oh, that feels strange. That feels strange. Strange. Strange.
There's something called the non-aggression principle. Even if you've not heard that name, you might be aware of the idea. It has its history in classical European liberalism and is pretty deeply embedded into the foundational political consciousness of the UK. In its simplest form, it states the following: do what you like, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. There's lots of minor variations and bells and whistles. For instance, if you go by Locke, hurting someone includes messing with their property, which for Locke would include slaves, so freeing one of his slaves from captivity might be considered aggression in his book, which is obviously
Fucked.
For others, it simply refers to physical violence, specifically violence against innocents. It's okay to do violence against people who are trying to hurt you.
K.O.
So, what are the implications for the political sphere? Well, the big one is that violence is illegitimate. The moment that you commit an act of violence, whatever you're doing or whatever you're trying to achieve, that's invalidated. However, the government uses methods that, if you squint, rub your eyes and then squint again, could look a lot like violence. So what you get in practice is a ruling class and media hegemony that constantly moves the goalposts to dictate what is and what isn't violence on any given month. Smashing a window? That's violence. A police officer shoving an old man to the floor because he's in the way? Not violence. Calling a Tory MP a mad lad's crumpled canker on Twitter? Violence. While I was writing this, I remembered a conversation I had about violence at university. I had a friend who was a Quaker and was therefore a pacifist, but they claimed they were an absolute pacifist. Hardline, no violence for any reason under any circumstances, not even in self-defence. I was, as I am now, quite sceptical about such an extreme position. I find it difficult to get behind absolute pacifism, and I describe myself as a pacifist, in that I oppose war, I oppose military intervention, and just about the army in general. But outside of a military context, I think there are definitely some scenarios where some degree of force would be admissible or even necessary in order to help the vulnerable. Like, imagine the trolley problem. The trolley heading towards 5 people on one track, there's one person on the other, and we have the ability to pull a lever to divert the trolley from the 5 people to the one. But now let's change that to make it as easy as possible to pull that lever. The 5 people are tied to the track, like in the Keystone Cops, and the one person on the other track is responsible for it. And even if you divert that track, the single villain won't even die. they'll just be injured, maybe just grazed. To me, that feels like such a no-brainer. But if you're an absolute pacifist, even that might be a bridge too far. Because you don't want to open the door to the admissibility of violence in any circumstance. Because that's a slippery slope between having to draw some kind of line in the sand, some dividing line between valid and invalid violence. And back then at university, I gave this person an even more exaggerated and unhelpful sci-fi example. Imagine that aliens beamed down to Earth, and their only task is to torture all the babies on the planet until they die. They don't do this for food, or conquest, or even pleasure. In fact, they hate doing it. It upsets the aliens to do it, and they all get PTSD. No one gets anything from this scenario. You're stood next to a button, which if pressed, will give the commanding officer a mild static shock, and will cause all of them to leave the planet forever, convert to being Quakers, and live the rest of their lives making porridge. Quick fact, Quaker oats are actually nothing to do with Quakers. It was a marketing ploy for capitalists to play off the perceived trustworthiness of Quakers and increase their sales. But they said even then they wouldn't press the button. Now I couldn't imagine someone not choosing to press that button, and I felt confident they just weren't answering in good faith. But you can't keep pushing it for the whole evening, so I dropped it. And later that week I found myself in conversation with them again, and they brought up how they think it's okay to smack your kids to discipline them. I think the absolutist line is pretty wacky personally, and yes, that does mean you need to find that line in the sand between good and bad violence. But I think the non-aggression principle gives us some decent, if simplistic, tools to do so. If you're not hurting anyone, do what you like, and it's a pretty decent rule. That's why you'll see variants of it in loads of major belief systems, from the Christian rule of reciprocity, if you don't like eggs, then don't throw eggs at people, to the Wiccan Rede, which is basically actually the same as the non-aggression principle, except they use the word ye. Here's another little fact. When people use ye, like ye olde, to sort of denote that something's an old and timey thing, like ye old shop, well, the y there actually derives from the old Nordic character the thorn, so it's pronounced th. So the word ye is pronounced the old shop. Why did I tell you that? Oh, because I used ye at the end of that last paragraph, and I knew that was an incorrect pronunciation, but not enough people know that it's actually pronounced the to... If I say, oh, it uses the word the, it's not a good joke, doesn't make any sense. Because Wicca was made like in the 60s, and it's trying to pretend that it's connected to the old pagan religions, but it's not, it was made up. You don't need to know any of this. Let's move on. Alright, in fact, let's stay in ye/the olden times. Get this. It's the 15th century. You're attacking a castle. It's one of those Norman ones. It's
thick.
Gleaming, unscalable stone walls beaming down on you, shitty little archers winking deadly sticks at your dunce army from slotty little crenellations. What do? Well, you can try ramming the door, use siege ladders, basically just smacking your men against the vast stone until it gives way. A war of attrition, a Pyrrhic victory at best. But if you're not in a mega rush, you can always do it the long way around. The castle grounds relies on supplies from outside. Food stores inside the castle walls will only keep people going for so long before they need to resupply from the yield of the surrounding fields. Well, if you set up camp outside the castle, you can stop them getting more food. You can deny them water by poisoning their supply. Rather than charge in, you can keep all your men and slowly deny the citizens of the castle vital resources until they finally give way and surrender. So that's our setting. Let's look at two possible outcomes. Scenario A, you attack them head on. Siege towers, battering rams, the works, you burst in, kill 50% of their population with daggers, arrows, your unique double-socketed broadsword. They surrender, you take the castle. Scenario B, take the sneaky route, cut off supply lines, you make the water undrinkable, disease and starvation sets in, 50% of the population die, they surrender, you take the castle. Now here's your question. Is one of these situations less violent than the other? What do you think? Answer me, coward! In short, I don't think there's any meaningful difference. Yes, scenario B could have had them surrender earlier to avoid so many deaths, but that's also true of scenario A. Is violence more about the consequence, people dying, Or is it about the method in which it's carried out? Is it more pleasant to die of starvation than having your head cut off? No, they're both horrible, and I'd rather endure the mercy of the guillotine. Let's push past these rhetorical questions and land firmly on the point I'm spending ages making. Violence is more than just physical confrontation. Violence can be complex, systemic. You don't get a free pass on murder because you used a Rube Goldberg machine. Killing is killing. Wow, we're back in the modern day. How can we apply what we've learned? In the last 6 years, 17,000 people have died while waiting for benefits. Between 2014 to 2017, 5,500 people died within 6 months of being found fit for work. In the last 3 years, 111,000 ESA claimants have died while on benefits. This was a coordinated attack on the poor and disabled in the name of austerity, killing people for the economic and political expediency of the Conservative Party regime. They weren't manually euthanized, they weren't rounded up and shot, but when bureaucracy can be as deadly as a gun, what difference does that make? And if someone's willfully trying to harm you or harm members of your family, what is a reasonable way to respond when people's lives are on the line? If I throw a packet of hula hoops at the Prime Minister, I will be thrown to the ground, forcibly arrested. I'll be branded violent, a thug, a threat to the country. If that same Prime Minister decides they're going to deport someone back into a war zone, or back into a country where they risk being killed, they will not receive any of the same treatment. Poverty kills. Inequality kills. When you're attacked by a regime that kills people, it is difficult to imagine what amount of force would be disproportionate. If free speech can be about free speech for a moment, rather than right-wing dads banging on about their right to do a Chinese accent on TikTok, then it should be used to dispute and resist the monolithic power of government. Mandatory Redistribution Party was created and produced by Sean Morley and Jack Evans. Our title theme was created by Ella Jean. Additional music created by Sean Morley, with the exception of Symphony in B minor by Carl Philipp Emmanuel Bach, recorded by the Orchestre de Chambre de la Salle. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the podcast and wish to drop us a crumb of praise online, we will gobble it up ever so gratefully. Thank you, and good night.